So today I'm going to make a great, mostly homemade pasta sauce. It's not marinara, it's not bolognese, it's not really a ragu either. So I used a couple canned items just to speed things up a little bit because I want this ready by tonight. So this is my crock pot / slow cooker. Okay, I'm going to use 2 cans of crushed tomatoes. I use Cento brand, C-E-N-T-O. That's the brand I use. No sugar added, you know. Not from concentrate. These are fresh tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes, and then I use basil, garlic, and oregano diced tomatoes, certified organic. 2 cans of that. Now the big cans are 28 ounces each. Obviously adjust for how much you want to make. This is enough for me to freeze some, can some and freeze some. These are 14 ounce each, these crushed. That already have basil, garlic, and oregano in it. So then what I usually do is I usually add fresh basil. Unfortunately, with the 3 different grocery stores, nobody had fresh basil. And the only basil I could find was actually at Lowe's, which I actually bought some, but for me to plant. So this is actually basil paste. I'm gonna put in about, 2 tablespoons. Now, just to kind of preface, I am gonna be using an emulsion blender at the end of this. That's why a lot of things I'm gonna put in here are gonna be like roughly chopped, because the emulsion blender, once it cooks, will put it all in. Like, I don't peel my tomatoes, like I don't boil them or steam them to peel them up. You're never gonna notice they're in there. If you don't have an immersion blender, use a regular blender. Or just chop it so fine that, unless you like it chunky. Sometimes I like it chunky. So I have some fresh peeled garlic. Now so far, nothing amazingly special. I'm gonna use 5, 6 garlic cloves. You can crush them prior to if you want. I don't. It's just steps you really don't have to do. People make it. The thing is people make dishes more complicated than they are, especially like Food Network and Cooking Channel. Cooking Channel not so much, but there's 4,000 ingredients. No. Brunoise, the onions. Spaghetti sauce isn't something that you're necessarily, or pasta, it's something you're judging on beauty. Okay, you're judging on flavor. And I'm sorry, but flavor does not, or looks do not trump flavor when it comes to food. So, I'm gonna get some tomatoes off the vine, on the vine I should say. Just cut it up. I don't even take the core out. I'm just gonna cut this into quarters. That's all I'm doing. Because I like something that get that fresh tomato sauce flavor. Very, very simple. You can pick any time. Roma's, most people consider the best for pastas, and I actually like to use cherry tomatoes, but you gotta get sweet cherry tomatoes. But that takes a lot of tomatoes, so I'm just using these. And in fact, I bought some Roma tomato plants, beefsteak, big boys, and a couple others. So I'm going to be adding those. Now I'm going to add some sweet peppers. These are also great for pickling peppers, and they're quite good. Of course, good in salads, or you can stuff them with cream cheese or jalapeno cream cheese, anything like that. They are sweet. They are not hot. So I'm just going to cut them into rings. Okay? Or just rough chop them any way you want. So just into rings. This gives a little bit of sweetness and a little more depth of flavor into your pasta sauce. Okay? I don't care if it gets a lot of seeds. And again, this is something, save the seeds. If you have a garden, plant these seeds and you'll have peppers. So save these. So I'm actually going to save that one because it's got a lot of seeds in it. That way I don't have to buy these again for a while. At the end of every year, of every planting year for me, I vacuum seal seeds so that I have them to plant the next year, saving me money in the garden. And it does. It adds up after a while. I compost a lot of material, yard clippings, things like eggshells, used coffee grounds, things like that. I will, when I had chickens, I used to compost chicken poop. So, and this is just some vegetable stock. You can use beef or chicken. I'm just going to use veggie. Just to thin it a little bit. I'm probably using about a cup and a half. And that's it. So we can now turn this, well, we can plug it in first. That'd make it a lot easier, wouldn't it? And I'm gonna put this on high to start. Get it warmed up nice. That way it's now, because it's 1 o'clock now, that'll be done by this evening. Any red wine will work. If you want to omit this part, by all means, or any part of it. This is a Pinot Noir. I'm just gonna add a little bit. Probably about a quarter of a cup, just to give it a little bit of flavor. That's it. You don't just, unless you're an alcoholic. So that's our basic. Now to sweeten it, instead of using, I know a lot of people put sugar in here. I try not to. What I will use though is balsamic glaze or balsamic reduction. Let me grab that, and that will give us the sweetness. I have like 4 containers of this stuff. I don't know why I can't find it. Granted, I have 3 refrigerators, and I know it's right in front of my bloody face, and I can't even see it. Of course, I just forgot actually what I was looking for. I love memory loss. Okay. What am I looking for? I don't know what I'm looking for. I'll be right back, I promise. Alright, that's it, I'm switching off the channel. Alright, I don't know why I can't find it. It's right in front of my face. So what I did grab is 2 things. I got some sweet red peppers. And I'm going to throw those in for sweetness. You're like, you're using your fingers. Listen, I'm the one eating it. Trying to get it without getting the juice, which isn't working. So, bet you never see Bobby Flay do that, do you? Like, he's so perfect. Actually, he's not a very good chef, but he's really hot. I've been to his restaurant. What? Yeah, I compare it to McDonald's. So adding about a tablespoon of balsamic glaze. It's easy to add it. It's hard to take it out, as Bob Ross used to say. And I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. Now, season it as you see fit. If you want to add some fresh rosemary or dried rosemary, oregano, thyme, whatever you want to add in as far as your seasoning. Like I said, the cans were basil, garlic, and oregano already in it. I've added garlic, I've added basil already in there. So there's already a lot of flavor in there. So at this point, I would put the cover on, let it get up to temp where it starts to boil just a little bit or bubble just a little bit. Turn it down to low and start adding in more seasoning. And then at that point, once it gets to a point where, about maybe an hour after you add seasoning, take your immersion blender, blend it all smooth. Or if you like it chunky, leave it chunky. Or just put it in a regular blender. Don't put it in the food processor, it'll make an absolute mess. And then you start tasting. So, and then that's what, okay, it needs more balsamic, or it needs something else to curb the acidity. But I promise you, with the peppers, and you can add onions if you want. If you want to fire roast your tomatoes, you can. If you have a grill, just throw the tomatoes, throw the peppers or onion on that grill, and that's going to add more flavor. The point to is doing them as smoked or not, or doing that to tomatoes and peppers and onions is it caramelizes the sugars in those vegetables. So that's going to make it a little bit sweeter, give a little more flavor into your pasta sauce. In fresh versus dry herbs, I prefer fresh, but dry can work as well. Again, add little bits at a time until it reaches the flavor that you want, and give it time to meld and blend with the other flavors. If you put it in right away, you taste it, go, that's not right. Well, in an hour, it's probably going to be too strong. So give this a shot. Again, omit whatever you don't want to use. But this, with adding things like balsamic and adding things like sweet red peppers, you're adding sugars in without adding sugar. So, I mean, and your vegetables, again, throw some celery in there if you want to. Make it your own, but this is a good start, okay? Add what you want, fresh garlic preferably. If you don't have that, of course, minced works, like dried minced garlic, garlic powder, things like that. I try not to use those as much. I use those more in like my jerkies and in my sausages and cheeses because I don't want to add moisture. So with this, I do. So a little bit different. Again, vegetable broth, you can use chicken or beef, either of those. Fish broth would be kind of weird. Later, I will add some fresh mushrooms, diced mushrooms in there. And later, I'm going to make some homemade ravioli with beef and cheese. And so that'll be, obviously, what this will be mixed with later on this evening. But now, the basics are done. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message and make sure to hit like and subscribe.